I hate you so much.
Wait, did you start?
I'm started.
Oh, we're live.
Scuffed beginnings.
It's just, fuck scuffed beginnings because our entire show is scuffed. So
that's the only thing I've taken away.
That should be the only thing you've taken away, Max. You understand it. You get it. You get what we're all about. All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Suboptimal Podcast. My name is Zachariah Schofield. Now I'm going to soft reboot my name. So my name is now Zachary Schofield, what it is actually. And the point of this joke will be coming later, and you're not going to get it right now. It's too advanced for you people. But anyway, we have Matt Morskowski. Say hello.
It's not Matt Morskowski anymore. It's actually Buck Fever.
Oh, excuse me, Buck Fever. That's
Buck Fever.
Buck Fever, yes. That's his porno name.
Also known as Fuck Beaver.
Yeah, Fuck Beaver. So it's a porno name, like I said. It's a
Is that like a bestiality name? Eating the beavers?
No, I think it's just like beavers is in like beavers,
I just want to make sure. You never know.
Beavers, eating wood, because sex.
If you're fucking, then you're probably fucking.
That's true. That's a true statement. Anyway, you guys might be wondering what the third voice is. I was gonna say studio, and then I realized I'm just in my fucking bedroom. It's the furthest thing from a studio. we have Maxwell Pole. Say hello.
Hello.
There he is.
I'm a little nervous. Do I get graded?
Yeah. We can give you a grade.
Okay.
And
as long as I don't fail.
To raise your grade, you can sleep with the professor.
Just like real world. All right, I like it.
Oh my god! Ow, I'm like.
I hope I perform okay then.
Ow. Okay.
Bonus points if you sleep with the professor's father.
Yeah, that's also true. Although in my case that would be very weird. I mean, you can hit on my dad whenever you come in the house.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. I can't help myself. And also, anything I can do to make your dad uncomfortable is a win. So
it's a good time. It's actually a great time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have some relatively interesting news this week on Activision. We have a few bits about EA, Epic, bunch of different stuff going on, which is going to be fun to talk about. It may be a little bit. How do you say, beating a dead horse compared to like last week, but it is pertinent news, so I apologize in advance.
Beating a dead horse can be fun.
It can, but
don't knock it till you try it.
I've never gotten a chance to beat a corpse, so unfortunately, I've not been blessed with that opportunity.
I mean, there's a technicality to that though. See, without getting too much into what you're actually talking about. A corpse, by definition, requires the subject in question to actually be dead. It doesn't actually seem like the subject that we're going to be talking about is actually dead yet, given that it's still kicking.
That's true.
Carry on with the beating. That's
okay. That's a very valid point. They're not. EA's not dead yet.
Beating an almost dead horse. Is that proper?
Beating a what is it? Beating a nutritionally deteriorating horse.
Oh, jeez.
Could also work as well, because that's just, fuck. Okay. Anyway. Other than the company bashing that we're bound
beating
to
and
do.
Exiting the soul.
The soul's currently leaving the body, and you're just stepping on like the tail end of it, like Casper's ghost, and you're beating it across the face with a stick. Anyway, okay, so let's news. News is a thing, right? That's a thing. Okay.
Nudes.
So, nudes. Yes, send Matt nudes. Everyone listening, send Matt nudes. So we have. So I'd like to just start off with this, and with the whole soft reboot joke. That may have been too advanced for some of you, but it's a reference to Call of Duty's new game. Now, Matt, I know for a fact you saw it on the Battle.net launcher when you were trying to launch WoW or World of Warcraft. Yeah. And Max, you may have some sort of knowledge, at least as far as the Call of Duty series goes. But the new game is called Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Oh.
It doesn't have the 4, so it's different.
Oh, it's
All
just
right?
modern. Well, isn't COD 4 Modern Warfare?
Yeah, except that's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. This is Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
So it's just the apex of Modern Warfare is what we're looking at right now. Sounds great.
It does sound great.
Where do I give my $60? Do I just mail it to EA headquarters, or how do I get
to
this?
Activision? Yeah.
Or
Wait,
Activision, yeah.
what was the quote that stuck with me when I first saw it? Is it? I can't find it anymore, but it was something about the rules have changed. Yeah, the rules have changed. Apparently, the rules have changed for everything, including how to title your sequel to a game.
Oh my! I hate. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing that I hate. I hate when companies say that. Because 95% of the time, they are talking out of their ass to cover what they're trying to do. You know, at least with the gaming industry, specifically. Because, like, actually, this segues really well into. I saw an article the other day about EA claiming that the old way of releasing games just doesn't work anymore. And
citation needed.
And yeah, it's a. Although this isn't the best website to get it from. It's this particular article is from Unilad, but it's on a few other places, and they claim that essentially that a game needs to be beta tested, and they need to have a drip feed approach, which is put out the bare bones and then edit it over time. And I think that's crap, personally. And
no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. I just had to make one small, if I could even call it a correction. EA is under the impression that people want to play a game that will literally take up all of their free time for the next 10 years.
Yeah, well, you know what? I wouldn't even say that too. Like it's with EA, it's they just decided that that's what people want because that's what they want. You know, because it gets them the most money. The more they invest in a long-term game, the more they dish out.
Theoretically, the drip feed approach works if you want to, constantly wrench back people's attention to your game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to just release a traditional game that doesn't have people complaining and rioting, well, that's an exaggeration, but I'm just going to say rioting in the streets, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the old way for releasing games works.
Yeah, it's always worked.
Yeah, I feel like every game's even like meant or like developed in that drip feed effect. You're not necessarily releasing it out to other people, but alpha testing and eventually
alpha and beta testing still exists.
Yeah, it gets tested by people and people's opinions get put into it no matter what. That's been a thing forever.
Yes, exactly, and this is them saying that they'll have it's the CEO Andrew Wilson. He says you should expect that we'll start to test things, and this is an exact quote. Test things like soft launches, the same things that you see in the mobile space right now, and it also comes down to changing how we communicate with players. Our entire marketing organization now is moving out of presentation mode and into conversation mode, which I think is a weird sentence, and changing how we interact with players over time. So
it sounds like they're just trying to build up hype over nothing.
I think that's exactly what they're trying to do, and because the problem with this sort of stuff is that it's more of a reason they're trying to validate the idea of this drip feed approach, essentially that a game comes out in its bare bones form and then is patched over time to become a game that's worth playing. Like that's the problem with it, is that they're rushing production to get the game out, get your money, and then they patch
and
it.
I honestly don't even think that's a great way to do business.
No.
And if you look at a case study of that in Apex, as soon as it came out, everyone came running in. It was the new hot game on the block.
Mm-hmm.
You had everyone flooding from Fortnite. And then they didn't update it in time. They had no sort of competitive challenge mode. There's no really thing to work towards other than maybe getting skins and stuff. And that's not enough to keep people intrigued in the game. And
Yeah.
I know I'm not a big fan of Fortnite, but they come up with new updates and they're rolling them out all the time, and they delivered a finished game from the start and improved constantly.
Yeah, it at least was a finished game, because
Yeah.
as much as I can hate on Epic for their work ethic and for their game design and so on and so forth, they do have a game that is successful, and there's something to be said in that. And I can totally get that. And it's this crap, because we've seen from EA before that, and I don't know if you were savvy to this. I know Matt was, because we had a discussion on it. They tried to disseminate the idea that single player games were dying. No.
It's just so far from the truth.
It is. And one of the funniest things is that, for PlayStation, we had God of War and Sony's Amazing Spider-Man, or Sony's Spider-Man, come out this year. Both single player, both smash hits and Game of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sekiro, literally the one game that dared to cut off the multiplayer aspect that its predecessors were partially defined for, and still gets top rating for the past 90 days on Metacritic.
Exactly.
But yeah,
exactly.
no, single player games are dying, guys. Let's move on.
They're dying.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the more abusable forms.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always find myself going back to single player games, and even on a multiplayer game, using the single player function, like whether it's campaign or whatever. I always do it.
I mean, for the love of God, I've been playing World of Warcraft at work for the past week, and all I do is quest by myself.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
the other day I found myself playing Civ 5 all by myself, just
Civ 5.
reminiscing on
delicious,
the good days.
Wonderful game.
I started playing Halo 3 campaign too. That was just great.
Ooh, you are bringing back memories
right?
now. Holy crap. But anyway, fact of the matter is, don't buy into this damn rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
It happens all the time. They try this crap all the time. And it's tiresome. It's where a lot of the support the developers rhetoric came from, which is fine. That sentiment is okay. That sentiment is very okay. And I want to support developers, obviously, because they're the people behind these passion projects. Unfortunately, they're just abused by publishers, and that's the crap we need to watch out for. Because, at least in the case of Activision, we discussed last week that they boasted record high revenue, and then canned 800 workers.
Yep, yeah.
And so obviously, even if we are buying into specifically for Activision, buying into their sales model, the developers are still getting the shit end of the stick. It's crazy,
and that's part of the problem about being a public company, is that your number one goal is being the most profitable company you can be.
Shareholders,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if that means cutting half your workforce or whatever it is, that's what they're going to do at the end of the day.
It's crazy. It's
and you'd hope that the best way to make a profitable business is to be helping out your consumers, the best way possible. But
exactly.
It doesn't work out that way, which is ridiculous.
No.
Yeah.
Can you actually hold on? I have to fix my Wi-Fi thing. There we go. Perfect. That's just a little intermission, little 10-second intermission.
Hey, can you fix me while you're at it?
I'm Matt. No one.
That's going to take more than 10 seconds.
That's more like 10 years. All right. So I got two things out of the way. Matt, did you want to bring up anything?
Well, okay. So the my question is, do we want to get into slightly meme territory, or do we want to still stick with the serious stuff? Because all I got are memes on the table.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we do this? We'll get the more serious stuff out of the way first, and then we'll meme it off at the end.
Yeah.
Does
okay.
that sound
Cool.
good?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Sounds
Or
good.
if you feel so inclined to, just throw one in the middle, like a little breakup, if you need to.
Yeah, it could be a stress reliever. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
But anyway, finishing the discussion about the whole Call of Duty franchise, kill it.
But honestly, though, with all the Call of Duties that came out, could they have really done better than Modern Warfare? This is the best that they have, and that's what's most upsetting.
That's true.
I don't think they could have released something better than this.
Yeah, Modern Warfare was good. The soft reboot, I think, is a good idea. The the only problem that I see with this in particular is that you're getting into territory where you're not only reusing content, but in a first-person shooter, there's really only so much you can do in the way of storyline and multiplayer.
Absolutely. And I think that's why they're trying to play back on this Modern Warfare craze that was going on back
absolutely.
Back in 2000, 12, 13, 14?
Yeah, and now, I don't know if you know this, but you remember how they remastered Modern Warfare? The older one?
Yes.
So now, not only did they take that game and then pair it with Infinite Warfare, which is by far one of the worst Call of Duties ever. It was terrible selling. On top of that, they released it about 6 to 8 months later separately. So you had to buy it separately. It was $40, which is not terrible for a remaster.
Yeah.
Still could be less. But not only that, but they snuck loot boxes into the remaster. Right?
Of
course. And on top of that, the DLC was unavailable. You had to pay separately for it.
Oh, that's fun.
It's crazy, right?
And then I think...
For a game that's 14 years old.
Yeah, and I think I might be wrong, but when I was in school a couple months ago, I think one of my roommates downloaded it off of the PlayStation Plus store for free.
Yep.
So you had all these people buy it.
Yep.
And then they're trying to create hype again, and they're like, oh, let's just... let it go, which is good. But
PlayStation has this service called PlayStation Plus, which is the online.
Yeah.
It's like Xbox Live,
gotcha.
And they give you free games. So yeah, that was one of the free games, which is pretty surprising to have a AAA game be free like that. Luckily, I got it for free because I worked at GameStop at the time.
There you go.
So I'm not giving Activision any of my damn money.
Do they still switch off every other year?
With them and Treyarch?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know, weirdly enough, I think Modern Warfare is being handled by Treyarch.
Gotcha.
Which is interesting because Modern Warfare was an Activision standard. But anyway, that's another conversation. So I don't want to talk about Fallout 76 because it's kind of a dead subject. However, Matt, I told you that I saw there's this wonderful video by Internet Historian on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Fallout 76. I just want to simply suggest to anyone listening that check it out. It's a fantastically funny video, and it documents. Unfortunately, Bethesda's become very anti-consumer in what they've been doing with their services, with their games, with their merchandise. So it's a very good documentation of it, and plus it's freaking hysterical. I was pissing my pants laughing watching this guy. So if you guys ever get a chance, look it up, check it out. It's a really good insight into what Bethesda's been trying to keep quiet, especially because it did result in a class action lawsuit. So that's pretty big.
Funny enough, it's kind of funny that you bring that up because, now that you did, I might as well dive in. So I was rewatching for the fifth time that video by Internet Historian.
So funny.
And one of the parts that I kind of turned my brain off. Well, I kind of turned my brain off to the whole video because it was kind of it's just a joyride of memes and jokes by some deep voiced English accent sounding dude. Wait, is he Australian?
He is Australian, yes.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Then he's Australian, but still, it's just funny to even listen to him, even without watching the actual video.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
For some reason, my brain turned on at one particular moment where he was specifically talking about how apparently, allegedly, the B team, Bethesda's B team, was producing Fallout 76. And so I was thinking, okay, well, that kind of and that's all he ever said, actually. It was just that the B team was producing it. No additional details. And so I was kind of just thinking, okay, well, where have I heard this before? FromSoft, developing Dark Souls 2, their A team decides to split apart temporarily so that they can work on a secret project that would eventually become Bloodborne. And in the meantime, FromSoft's B team makes Dark Souls 2, which, while I'm sure many people love Dark Souls 2 just as much as Fallout 76 fans love Fallout 76, it's critically seen by many as a failure of a game in the Dark Souls trilogy. Dark Souls 2 is.
Yeah.
So that can like at least kind of be understood in the sense where, okay, their main talent has gone off to make a side project which saw its own success and brought its own recognition and success to the company through Bloodborne. But where's the A-Team project from Bethesda?
That's true.
So I did a bit of digging, and it really didn't take much. It was really light reading and Googling. But some people are speculating that the A-Team is working on... Have any of you heard of Starfield?
I've heard the name.
Okay, well, yeah, there's really not much out for this game right now. There's not even like a slated release date, at least not official, not like to be easily found online. You kind of have to dig deep to find anything that's even like rumored for release dates.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could be a possible candidate of what they're working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other possibilities could be, well, okay, the other thing that's going on right now that's even remotely big for Bethesda is Elder Scrolls Online. But there's two issues with that, which, first of all, Elder Scrolls Online initially released in 2015, which was well before the release of Fallout 76.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not exactly realistic to think that something released 3 years before Fallout 76's release would take up the A-Team's time.
Yeah,
to that extent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, you could say, oh, well, it's an online game, so expansions, what about those? Well, first of all, I could be wrong, but hear me out based on just simple intuition. I don't think expansions take as much time as developing the game from the ground up. And not only that, but while they were the expansions that I'm looking up were released at roughly the same time as the development of Fallout 76, these weren't even developed by Bethesda themselves. It was developed by ZeniMax Online Studios and then published by Bethesda.
Uh-huh.
So I still, other than Starfield, which is kind of like an enigma in itself, as of right now, given the information that I can't really find that accessibly, I can't see any reason why the A-Team for Bethesda wasn't at least partially involved in the development of 76.
Yeah, and the only thing I was thinking was that it was possibly Elder Scrolls 6, but even so, they said it wasn't coming out to the next generation?
Yeah, so like...
So what's the point of taking your B team and assigning it to a game now, and taking your A team and putting it on a game that's not slated for release for a possible another 7 years?
And not only that, but let's think about it this way. Fallout and Elder Scrolls have been franchises that have been largely like compared side by side, mainly because of the fact that they're both produced by Bethesda, they're both widely successful and have a very large fan base for each of them.
Yeah.
And they, up until like before the release of or even announcement of Fallout 76, they both were there was demand for sequels for both games.
Mm-hmm.
And for both franchises. And so if Skyrim, or not Skyrim, but if Elder Scrolls is not going to be coming until next generation, why can't Fallout wait too? Like it still runs on Creation Engine.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just made a very bad decision. I mean, they've made a lot of bad decisions. Because in that video I suggested before, you remember they had the fiasco with selling rum themed after Fallout.
Oh yeah.
And then the rum bottles were plastic.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of a metaphor for their company in like that their quality in every aspect is really starting to diminish. Like, seriously.
No,
Max,
that's what everyone is thinking.
Yeah.
So
going metal to plastic.
You're
like
right.
all these expectations are just not meeting anything because their quality is so crap.
Well, if you want me to update you just right now, you're getting an A+ so far.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm just letting you know. No, because you're correct. You're correct. Because unfortunately, they took the success they had before, and they were riding off of nostalgia for a good... Like, so Skyrim released in 2011. When was their next big release after that, you know? Like, let's say Fallout 4 was big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was...
No, Fallout 4 was huge, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Fallout 4 was 2015.
Massive, yeah.
It was like my first release at GameStop.
Actually, it came out the same year as Elder Scrolls Online too. Now that I think about it.
Okay, so you have those two, which are pretty big. I think, was it Doom 2015? Was the next one that came out? Okay, so they had Doom come out in 2016, right?
Yeah.
Solid game. Not knocking it all out of the ballpark, but it's solid. It was a solid remake. They had Elder Scrolls Online, which I will pertain is not a bad MMO. It's not fantastic, but at its current state, it is pretty good.
And let's also make note that the Doom reboot was actually a warranted reboot in the first place.
It was. It absolutely was, because it was a PC game from, 1997?
Forever ago.
Yeah, something crazy like that. So, once again, and we've discussed before, reboots have to be warranted. They have to have some reasoning to it.
Looking at you, Nintendo.
True. That's all. That is very true. I mean, well, we can also look at Bethesda because of the 57 remasters of Skyrim they made.
Actually, you know what? Let's look at everyone here. Like, everyone's guilty of it for the past year or two.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. I think the only company that hasn't cashed in too much on it was Sony. I think, because they had the Crash Bandicoot remake, which that in and of itself was also relatively warranted, because Crash Bandicoot is from 2002, maybe even before. I might be.
You know what I want to see?
What?
Kingdom Hearts remake.
Oh, there's a. Wait,
is that a thing?
Yeah. Okay, well, so here's the thing: they made 1,000,001 remakes.
Oh, really?
No, it's
I didn't know
actually.
That.
So let's because
I played the original one.
How about Kingdom Hearts redo?
It's I actually have the third
Spyro remake. I'd play Spyro.
They actually did just come out with a Spyro remake. Yeah. No, but that one's also warranted. It's also it's an old game, and it's also selling for I think $30. That's relatively solid as a price point. I think let's look up lists of Kingdom Hearts games, right?
Oh, that's funny.
Because this is actually a relatively good point to make with Square Enix and their likeness. So, video games. So we have the original Kingdom Hearts comes out in 2002, right? Chain of Memories, 2004. Kingdom Hearts 2 in 2005. Kingdom Hearts Recoded in 2008. Kingdom Hearts Mobile in 2008. Kingdom Hearts 358 by 2 Days, 2009. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, 2010. Kingdom Hearts 3 Dream Drop Distance, 2012. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix. Ignore the fucking numbers. It's just the first and the second game, and then the cutscenes from the DS games. I don't know why the number's there. Kingdom Hearts X, that was like a browser game in Japan. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix. It's the same thing as 1.5, except on current gen consoles. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8.
What's up with this?
2.8. Final Chapter Prologue. What the fuck? And then Kingdom Hearts 3. And then we finally get to Kingdom Hearts 3.
I thought I was just going to say the next one. I didn't realize this was this in depth. That's funny.
It got crazy. Kingdom Hearts storyline got pretty nuts. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's also...
Yeah, it just popped in my head for some reason.
It's another big portion of just re-releasing things.
Honestly, I need cover art for Kingdom Hearts 3.1415269, and the numbers just get progressively smaller, and then just at the bottom, also known as Kingdom Hearts Pie.
Yeah.
But Okay. Anyway, getting back to the subject at hand, but
this title's length is almost as infinite as the number of fucking
games we're
timelines in this in the storyline.
To give you kind of an idea, right? So I guess this is kind of spoilers, but it's been out for a while, so skip ahead if you don't want spoilers, I guess. The game itself is based around Sora, the main character, versus this organization called Organization 13, which wants to reignite a war, right? Mm-hmm. To essentially wipe existence clean to start anew.
Roxas!
And so the problem is that, and this is just one of the many problems of the convoluted storyline, 5 of the 13 Organization 13 members are the same person. So one is Xehanort, which is like the BBEG, the big bad evil guy, right? There's Xehanort from the past. There's Xehanort possessing someone else.
This is Doctor Who right now?
There's Xehanort possessing someone else. There's... hold on. This is going to bother me if I don't look it up. Organization 13 members. Mind you, also, he's fighting Organization 13, but then there was also another Organization 13. Bless you. But there was also another Organization 13 that was the fake one. Fucking... yes. Okay, weird. So yeah. Xehanort from the past. Xehanort absorbed in someone else's body. Xehanort's nobody, which is someone's body when a powerful soul leaves it, and Xehanort's heartless, which is the darkness in someone's heart manifested. So 5 of those members are the same person. 'Cause Japan.
Seems legit.
I mean, you know what? It's Anyway, back to the subject at hand. But
yeah, sorry for that tangent.
No, God, you're fine. We love a good tangent.
Yeah,
we pride ourselves on it.
We pride ourselves on it, especially the shitty ones. But anyway, it's to
call me shitty
as a kind of.
I was gonna say, yeah. What the hell, dude?
That was just a real low-key punch right there.
I'm not gonna talk my way out of this one. I'm gonna continue. But anyway, as kind of a side note to the whole Bethesda talk, we also, Matt, I told you about this. Bethesda pulled a so they made a tabletop RPG similar to Dungeons and Dragons, except they plagiarized one of the books from Wizards of the Coast, which Wizards of the Coast is the people.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah,
D&D.
Crazy.
And I'm not talking about like its derivative. I'm talking about text ripped straight out of the book.
I saw text to text comparison.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
I don't even understand why people even bother trying to plagiarize anymore, because there's
so easy to
many
catch
people
now.
Scouring all the time. Yeah, you don't get away with that stuff anymore, and even if you got away with it in the past, people dig it up, and like it's crazy.
Yeah, like this
is not worth it.
So, for example, this is just the first line, right? So this one, I think, this one's the original one. There's nothing like the desert to make people feel small and insignificant. In every direction, huge dunes roll across the landscape, and an even bigger sky looms above. The oasis of Brothel, I probably pronounced that incorrectly, is a motley collection of sun-bleached tents in the vast Anarok desert. Now, here's the Elder Scrolls version. Nothing beats the desert to make people feel small and unimportant. In every direction, enormous dunes roll across the landscape, and an even larger empty air skies above it. The oasis on the border between Cyrodiil and elsewhere is a colorful collection of sun-drenched tents in the vast desert of elsewhere. What the fuck, my guy?
Just the first line right there.
Like, that's just the first, the first portion of it, too. Like, what happened to Bethesda? Seriously, like, it's kind of depressing. It's that this one, I wouldn't even call them a one-hit wonder. Because to be honest, Elder Scrolls 3, 4, and 5, which you've played Skyrim, so Elder Scrolls 5, were really good. They were like, I loved every single moment of playing those games. I can remember, Max, actually, speaking of which, the first time I ever played Oblivion, I was sitting at your house.
Yeah.
Because when we were younger, Max loved to take the blankets from me. And then I'd wake up because I was too cold. So I'd go to play on the Xbox instead.
It's true.
And so I just bought Oblivion for like $3 at GameStop.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to mess around with it. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you weren't the only one. Like tons and tons of people like these games.
And then this wonderful bastion of just great storytelling, goofy bugs that are relatively charming, and fun gameplay just burnt out. Like, it's genuinely depressing. Like, oh, it's just crazy. It's absolutely insane.
And why do you think this really happened to them?
Greed, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's all greed. All the signs point to greed. And it's because currently we're at this kind of tension point in gaming where everyone's looking to make profits. But the problem is that there's no cap, there is a cap to those profits, but they're not paying attention to it. They're not focusing on sustainable long-term profit. They're focusing on short-term, extremely high profits. That's why we see the rise of these giant like what are they called? The games as a service. Yeah. Because even the problem with that is the games as a service model is that it competes for everyone's time. So not only is money a resource, but time is. Because the more time you put into it, the more you perpetuate the sunken cost fallacy. Which is, I've put this much into it, why not do a little bit more? Or I've put this much time into it, why not just throw some money at it? And then on top of that, they gain money from it. But if there's so many games doing the same model, you're spread too thin. It's especially if you're playing every single one, is that you're spread too thin and no one gets the money. Like, it genuinely becomes unprofitable in the end. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna keep going on about it. I promise you I will, and I don't want to.
To quote,
and it's already been like almost 40 minutes. So
to quote Todd Howard, "Who's laughing now?" Yes, I was in the chess club.
To quote Todd Howard, it just works. Okay, I sound like a deflating balloon. Moving on.
What a dork.
Moving on. I promise I'll make my next discussions relatively quick, Matt, so we can get to your funny stuff. All right?
Oh, well, I mean, we already just ticked off one box, so.
All right. Well. Still, sometimes I feel like I overshadow you a little bit.
No.
All right.
I let you overshadow me.
I just laughed
None of that pussy shit, all right?
That was fantastic.
I hope the mic got that.
I hope the mic got that too. I genuinely do. I farted. I'm a human with gas. And I'm sorry for you, Max, that you're in the room to smell it. Anyway, continuing on. I accept my faults, and I'm okay with it. Matt, well, I think we've discussed this before. More Star Wars movies. Hell yeah, obviously. We all need those. Another full trilogy is coming to the planet Earth.
I don't understand why people can't just leave things alone anymore. And it always happens. And in my favorite stuff too, like Lord of the Rings, like the trilogy was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And then like The Hobbit was okay after it, and then like they just didn't leave it alone.
That's true. That's true. Because I will forever say that the first Hobbit movie was very, very good at capturing the spirit of The Hobbit. Because I don't know if you've ever read the book.
No, I wish.
Yeah. So the book was made for children, so it was very go get 'em, free spirited.
Yeah.
And the first movie is exactly like that. It's them all just being goofy and fun and just awesome. It was just great.
I love the scene where they're juggling all the kitchenware.
Oh, absolutely. And that captured the spirit of Tolkien's ridiculously musical world so well. And then they did 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 with the one with the weird scene with Bomber, the fat dwarf, inside the barrel, fighting with soup ladles.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Okay, it was funny, and as a movie in and of itself, it was enjoyable. But it's because I'm not gonna try and be a gatekeeping elitist that says this ruins the trilogy for me. It doesn't ruin anything for me. It's just, hey, you suck at adapting this to film, because it doesn't ruin the trilogy for me. The trilogy's still fantastic.
I agree 100%.
Although I will say the only thing versus that is once it comes out, and you're gonna have to watch it with me. Yeah. The Amazon Lord of the Rings series that's coming to Amazon.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Now there's a big probability that it's gonna suck ass, but I'm still gonna check it out.
It's okay. I watched Spartacus, so I'm.
Well, Spartacus wasn't bad though.
Looking back on it, it's
really. You really think it's? Huh,
no. Well, like comparatively, like it depends, but no, I liked it. Of course, I liked it, but
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, we all have our guilty pleasures. We all have that shitty thing we like just for some weird reason.
Yeah.
I mean, for the love of God, I love Dynasty Warriors. They've been the oversaturated bullshitters for as long as I can remember, reusing assets and charging $60 for a game that's slightly altered.
Yeah, it's amazing how many Dynasty Warriors there are as well.
Oh, it's absolutely insane because you can. There's 1, 2, and 3, and then there's an Empires game and an Extreme Legends game for almost each one. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 6, 9, 12. I can't even do the math right now.
Summer, let's not do math. Yeah.
No, let's screw that. But I mean,
Dynasty Warriors 4.3 remix.
4.3 final chapter, prologue, epilogue, soliloquy. Like
soliloquy.
Validly though. Hey, Hyrule Warriors was a fucking gem.
Hell yeah.
And I will keep that. Like, it was actually.
Is that the one that looked like Transformers?
No, that's the Legend of Zelda one.
Oh, okay.
That's it's the game format is Dynasty Warriors, but the characters and everything are Legend of Zelda. And it was really good. Mm-hmm. They put in some new mechanics. They put in some new stuff. They put in effort because I mean they kind of had to. It's Legend of Zelda. You fuck that up, everyone's gonna hate you.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like it's if you don't make an enjoyable game with the rights to Legend of Zelda, you're going down the crapper.
Speaking of which, Matt, you need to play Wind Waker.
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
yeah.
Good. I remember at one point you didn't, but I'm glad you did. It was the only Legend of Zelda that I've played, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I was in love with that game.
It met a lot of criticism back when it came out, but I don't understand why. Like, I guess like the Toon Link character design wasn't up to everyone's taste, but other than that, like game design wise, it was a fantastic game.
I will say this.
For being on the GameCube, it was amazing.
Oh,
hell yeah.
It was fantastic. I will say this. I didn't like the Toon Link design at first. Then I started playing it. Then I saw how charming it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I actually really enjoyed it. It's the same thing with kind of with Breath of the Wild. They didn't go for realistic. They went for stylized, which is something I can always respect.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will AAA gaming companies need to learn this. Realistic does not equal what we want.
Absolutely. You just look at Minecraft and that's
no, seriously, that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
Is that Minecraft still persists today? For the love of God, you still fucking play it. Like it's like because it's stylized in a way that's consistent, appeasing, interesting. There you go. Fantastic. You did a great job.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Point is, fuck Disney. That's the
yeah. The point is, we should all just start playing Fallout 76.
Yeah, obviously. That's Lightwood Lemonade.
That's the conclusion of this podcast.
Lightwood Lemonade.
Lightwood Lemonade. If you guys watch the video, you'll get that.
Fuck the bag.
He's right. Fuck the bag. All right. Excuse me. Okay. So I promise I'm almost done. I promise. We just actually keep getting on tangents. Like, actually.
I like it though.
No, I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay
perfect.
With it.
So ironically, we're right on track.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I need to calm down because
everything is right in the world. Wonderful.
In through your nose and out through your mouth. Side.
You guys make me laugh so hard I get lightheaded.
You should do yoga sometime.
Maybe I should do yoga. You know, cure my fucking depression. Anyway, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Okay.
You're excused.
We're gonna talk about the Epic Store for a second. Now, I don't know how educated on the Epic Store you are. But
not at all.
It's literally just here's Steam, here's the Epic Store. They're the same entity. They're the same idea. Right? Epic. Oh God, fuck Epic right now.
Is it like Epic Store as an exclusive purchases for Fortnite?
It's a store in and of itself, and they keep ruthlessly purchasing rights to games in order to serve them solely on their platform. Now, here's the thing: Epic themselves are not promoting healthy competition. Right? So Steam for a while has kind of just let every developer, whatever their game is, just go out onto their marketplace, regardless of like content, you know, because there's games that are risque.
Yeah,
and there are games
within
that are just,
obviously certain guidelines, but
yes, exactly. Like for example, and excuse me, but there's a game called Rape Day that came out on Steam, and it was there for like a week, and why? Like genuinely, like if you want to play a game, it's exactly how it sounds. It is in every single way how it sounds. I don't even have to bother explaining what the game's about. It's wild. Exactly what you think it is. Now, if people want to explore that curiosity in social commentary, what the fuck ever? But Jesus, Steam, do not promote it on a public marketplace. I think that's it's just a very bad idea.
Yeah. Because
it's not necessarily censorship. It's more of, I guess, protection for younger viewers. More of, you know, like you or me know what we're getting into with the title of that.
Yeah, of course. It's more,
you know.
Yeah, I don't really even know how I feel about that, to be honest.
I feel gross even saying that, like, I would let it exist, because even that's even, you know what? I rescind that comment. I rescind that comment. I don't like that. I don't like that it even exists. It makes me uncomfortable.
I feel like it's more like you have to let it exist simply out of, you know, I mean, as much as this term gets thrown around way too much, just, you know, freedom of speech and freedom of expression, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, like, of course it exists. Like, in reality, of course there's a game like that, but there's no reason to perpetuate that ideology.
Yeah.
As in, like, you know, exactly. Why would you if you're promoting something like that and, like, it's, yeah, freedom of speech, but it doesn't compute like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more of a matter of, you know, you have freedom of speech and expression, but not freedom of criticism.
Mm.
You know, so if people don't like it, if you know, I was gonna say dealers, but that's a weird term for it. If game distributors don't like it, they have more than a right to block it off from their site, and I don't think it should have gone public with Steam. It was great. Anyway, continuing the conversation. So Steam has been kind of just on their ass for a while. Okay. Not really paying attention to what's going on. And so Epic has come up recently. Like, for example, Borderlands 3 is coming out in January of 2020, I think.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Epic has purchased the rights to it on PC for 6 months. So when that game comes out, it's going to be only available on the Epic Store for the first 6 months. So they're not offering healthy competition. They're offering ruthless takeover, essentially. And they've done this with a few other games as well. In an indie game, I think called The Outlands,
yeah,
I think.
I see what you're saying, and, like, it might not be healthy competition per se, but it could be potentially a great business move.
No, absolutely. And that,
as long as they're not, like, kind of upcharging it, like, is the consumer getting impacted by this other than having to kind of adopt the Epic game platform? Because that's obviously their whole goal behind making it exclusive on their platform, is to get you onto it.
Oh, yeah.
But
the biggest problem is splitting game libraries. because splitting your game library between one and another increases the possibility that you may not have access to that game after a while, due to the fact that that service might shut down. On top of that, unfortunately it's not necessarily Epic's fault that that's a move they have to make. It's more of the money hungry economic model that gaming currently has.
Yeah, and I agree. And is this even? Would you go as far as to say that it's a Borderlands 3 problem as well? Accepting this deal and allowing it to happen?
100%. But that it's both sides. Both sides are accountable, really. Which is weird because Borderlands 3 has had a very weird, tedious overview as far as the last few weeks have gone. So Randy Pitchford is the CEO. CEO? Am I getting that right, Matt? CEO of.
Let me stop you right there. It's Randy Pitchford. Does it matter?
It doesn't. It does. Okay. So anyway. So yeah, Chief Executive Officer of Gearbox. So Randy Pitchford, excuse me, is kind of a fucking weirdo.
Okay. Yeah. Sending me mixed signals there. I was expecting a really bad burn.
No, because I can't. You know what? As much as I want to do that, I'll talk shit about companies day in and day out. But when it comes to specific people, I can get a lot of flack for going way too, on that side of the spectrum with insults. Because I can't really do that. Although this guy does. He's got a rocky history. So
he
now
kind of looks like he'd be talking with Chris Hansen on his show.
Oh my god, wait. Why do you say that?
It is funny you say that because here's a fun fact. Randy Pitchford once left a USB in a public restaurant filled with sensitive documents from Gearbox. Would you like to know what else was on that USB?
Some child pornography.
Child pornography.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting that kind of vibe from him. Just look at him smiling there.
He's a fucking magician.
Wrong.
Yeah.
He's literally a fucking magician. He's a magician in his free time. He's just...
Oh, that's just sketchy. That's just sketchy.
Let me see. Okay, so he had a really, really weird.
Oh no!
Okay. No. I just looked up. I looked up Randy Pitchford comment on child porn because he had a really weird comment about it, and Google just immediately popped up with an ad that says, "Warning: Child pornography is illegal."
What?
What?
Thank you, Google. Thank you. I understand it. I understand. So let me read if there's a comment that he made about. Yes, here it is. Wait. Okay, yeah. So here it is. So it was barely legal porn, quote unquote. It's one of those kind of things. And so he said. So he talks at length about it. He confirmed that he copied a specific video to this memory stick to, as he describes, work out the method of how a cam girl host faked the act of female ejaculation. And he says,
I was doing it for science, guys. It was for science, all right?
The age old.
What? I guess what do you do at that point?
The age old explanation.
And he says, here's
research, okay?
Here's the worst part, right? He says, I realize this is not a sex worker. This is a fucking magician. What the fuck is up with this guy?
Oh man!
Like he's okay, but anyway, we're gonna reel it back in because this bass is getting away from us. So bring it back. Randy Pitchford's a weirdo. He communicated to a crowd at not an E3 conference, but a Gearbox conference. He said there will be no microtransactions whatsoever in Borderlands 3. That's almost the exact quote from him.
crowd goes nuts. Woo!
Guess what's in Borderlands 3?
New skins?
Magicians.
Magicians, yes. Well, like magicians, they just poofed them into the game, so...
Of course.
Now, mind you, it's not as predatory as things have been. Mind you, saying that is even kind of iffy, but it's mostly like paying for extra skins and things like that, which they did in Borderlands 2, which I don't like it, mind you. I still don't like it.
Of course. It's better if it's not a play-to-win kind of deal, but yeah, I see.
But, I still can't give them leeway. It's one of those things where, like, I respect that they haven't gone that far, but we shouldn't have even had anyone go that far in the first place. It's kind of one of those things. But
I'm not exclusively against microtransactions, but if you're going against your own word, like obviously you're not credible.
Oh, absolutely. And so Borderlands 3 has already had crap go down with it with that and Randy Pitchford and so on. So really, it is their kind of problem that this kind of thing happened with the Epic Game Store, and they keep doing these ruthless things. Like did you ever play Rocket League?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
You're familiar with it, yeah. They bought out the company that owns Rocket League, and they're eventually going to take Rocket League off of Steam and keep it entirely on Epic Game Store. Now, mind you, you can still play it on Steam if you have it. You still receive updates. You still receive so on and so forth. But I believe they are planning to take it off.
Yeah. So
once again, it's more ruthless, but once again, that's also a product of what our business model for gaming is right now.
Unfortunately, this is just going to be the future. You already see it happening to like the video streaming market of Netflix. Yeah. You have people who acquisition content, and then you got Disney Plus coming out, and they're pulling off all their Disney movies off of Netflix. Like, this is just reality nowadays, and I think it's going to be it's more widespread than the video game market, but it's obviously very prominent.
Yeah.
Here, and I think it's only going to get worse, to be honest.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's definitely going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, Matt and I have discussed in depth that we think the gaming industry just needs to collapse. We think it needs to collapse.
I was about to say that, actually. I'm just waiting for that glorious day when I can just kind of detox after the crash from all the messy crap that's happened. Mm-hmm. And then after, let's say, maybe a year, maybe two, worst case scenario, some people will start kicking it into high gear, like the actually smart people who are waiting for a shot to produce really good games, not just money, but actually good games and media. Mm-hmm. And then I'll get back on board. But
yeah, we've talked extensively how we believe the indie market is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of this industry.
Yeah, I think open source platforms are the best thing to happen to consumers by far.
And Steam was good for that for a while, but then once again they stopped filtering through what was coming out of their store. So a lot of it just became oversaturated. So we see a lot of indie games going over to the Epic Game Store because it's a smaller market in which they hold a bigger spot. So they have more of a chance of getting seen and getting purchased, which makes perfect sense, and I don't blame indie developers for it. I really don't. They need to make their profits, and they have no way of doing so other than that. AAA industries, this is obviously a different story, but
dude, you know what? On the topic of this subject, you know what fucking pisses me off? So
yes,
it's about so if we're going over online marketplaces for games, in my mind there's three that I regularly either use or at least hear about. There's Steam, obviously, because everyone in this day and age has heard of or alternatively used Steam. There's Epic Games, which is sort of the up and coming competitor, if you want to call it that, for Steam. And then if you have a Switch, you can go on the Nintendo eShop and you can get stuff for the Switch online.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, the expectation in my head I'm actually looking at it right now. The expectation in my head for looking at a Nintendo eShop is something just very clean. Like, it's just a bunch of Nintendo titles as well as maybe some indie games, because that's kind of what's been going on with the Switch, as well as some other games that have come from or been ported from other systems, not necessarily Nintendo affiliated, or just games in general that aren't necessarily Nintendo related in the first place. But then you take one look at the catalog, and you see this crap. Like, it's just a bunch of like anywhere between $3 to $5 throwaway games. It's shovelware essentially. Like let me just read a couple of them. There's Crypt of the Serpent King for $3. It's literally just some photoshopped image of some like stock photography of a skeleton, a snake, and a dungeon-looking background. There's Desktop Baseball for $7 with a picture of an anime kid with a band-aid on his nose holding a baseball. Watermelon Party for $5. Mowin' and Throwin' for $15.
Oh my goodness.
That's the one phrase I always wanted to hear come out of your mouth, Matthew.
All I'm hearing is more reasons for us to play Fallout 76. So,
okay, get this. Go Fishing 3D for $12. Okay.
Okay, so wait, can I make a comment?
No.
It's
unanimous. That's how this works now.
It's a majority for Zach not to speak. Motion passed. We continue on to the next item. No, I was just gonna say that mowing and throwing kind of sounds like a gay dating sim.
It sounds like an app that dude we were just talking about would make.
Yeah, no, Randy Pitchford would actually make. But like mowing is in like shaving, and then throwing is in like pitching. You know?
No, I was thinking of mowing and throwing.
You guys can't see the gesture that Max just made, but it was very obscene. Continue.
No, but
Continue,
all I can think of when I see this is just like, first of all, one of the biggest problems is that when you're trying to look through the eShop, which, by the way, there's no like Nintendo curated page, right? Like, you can't see games that Nintendo has specifically gone through and approved of certain games, so that you know what are like the quality releases, whether they're AAA releases or maybe just indie games that have reached critical acclaim, or even like sort of like cult classic acclaim, or not cult classic, but cult something. I forget what it's called right now because I'm kind of furious at this. Yeah. But there's none of that, and all you can go through is recent releases, which is an absolute fucking mess. Featured, which that's kind of the closest you're ever gonna get to the curated thing. It's okay, but like it's still like everyone knows what's on this page in the first place, so there's no point to it. Great deals, which whatever. Best sellers is also kind of cool, but again, everyone knows what's on there. And that's it for like finding games that are purchasable right at that moment. There's nothing else. Mm-hmm. So when you look at most prominently recent releases, you're getting this barrage of crap, and it drowns out all the stuff that could actually be kind of good. But everything else on the recent releases page, it's uninspired based on the thumbnail art. It's not that intriguing, and it literally looks like the game section for the iPhone App Store.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to see it, and even worse, the Android App Store, because that shit's worse, actually. Like, I have an Android, and I look.
Actually does have some quality stuff.
And so
Infinity Blade 3, y'all.
And so I'm trying to like go through this in my head and think, what's the justification for this? Like, we already know how Steam went down with this shovelware crap, and the Nintendo eShop really isn't that far off from being that much of a failure compared to Steam either, in my opinion. So, given that we already have a very prominent example of how badly this sort of thing can go, where's the justification for actually making this horrible decision yet again?
Yeah.
Like, the only justification that I've heard that makes any sort of remote sense is, it lowers the bar for certain releases so that the other releases that are actually kind of good or also really good are relatively seen as better by comparison. Which, okay, I guess
That is
like
such a bad reason.
it seems logically sound, but at the same time, yeah, like if you're gonna want to make a good game, you just make a good game. Like you don't need crap to hold it up on a pedestal. Like if it's a good game, you don't need that crap. It's just a good game.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be sitting on.
You don't need that much more to make it even better because it's already good.
Yeah. $20 looks good on a piece of grass, let alone a piece of shit. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it looks much better than that shit on the ground. No, $20 is $20. Like, I'll take it.
I don't. We're gonna have to see some response from Steam. We're gonna have to see it. We're gonna have to see some response from them. We're gonna have to see some response from even. I mean, the eShop doesn't even need to respond necessarily because it's technically on a different platform. However, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Simply because indie games are finding a lot of success, especially with the limited library on the Switch right now.
Actually, you know what's the scary thing?
What?
The indie game market or sub-market or whatever you want to call it, that could also kind of like see a decline because of all this crap being shoveled in too. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that the indie game market is that safe of a place anymore either.
Okay, it's official. Gaming is dead.
It's dying,
okay,
that's for sure.
This is the last episode of the Suboptimal Podcast. We'd like to thank you for tuning in.
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
Do I get an F now?
I
just
you know what? It's extraneous circumstances, so I'll still give you that A+.
Alright, cool.
But it's just fucking nuts. Anyway, we're getting close to a little bit over an hour, so I'll wrap some things up relatively quickly. The Epic Game Store still sucks. They had a sale where I think they did 75% off plus $10 off any game that's $14.99 and up. The only problem is they offered this sale on a game that wasn't released yet, which was, I think it was Bloodlines 2, I think. It was like this vampiric, weird, dark game. Now the problem is that they're literally devaluing this product before it comes out. So, as a result, no one's going to go to any other platform to purchase it, but also at the same time, customers expect it to be at that price. So, when it goes back up, no one's going to buy it because it was available for that much. And they go, oh, you started out with that, so we're not going to buy it for anything higher.
Yeah, unless if it's just a killer game. But
yeah, and it is. I believe it's a cult classic, as far as I'm aware. I've heard about it. It hasn't been broadcasted everywhere, but I don't think it has the renown to survive that.
Yep.
And that's just ridiculous because the Epic Game Store, Epic didn't let anyone know about this sale. They didn't tell any of the developers. Now, mind you,
that's rather strange.
They're absorbing the cost for anything on a discount. So that's relatively fine. It's just mainly the discount on the game that's not even out yet.
Yeah.
It's a full $10 off is pretty impactful.
Especially when you're dealing with like $60 games or less. Like the less that money is, the larger the percentage.
I'm pretty sure it's worth like $30.
Yeah,
too.
So it's a third. It's a huge percentage off.
Exactly, and it's just point is this is why I'm not touching the Epic Store yet. Not doing. I mean, I may never, but in response, also Microsoft is bringing a bunch of Xbox games to Steam, which is actually pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like a lot of older stuff.
They're doing their cross-platforming, like PC to Xbox One too.
Yep, they've done that with a few games so far. Yeah, really which is cool because Sony should also get on the boat as well.
Yeah.
As much as I don't really like Microsoft all too much. Not that they're even one of the worst companies at all. It's just I'm not a big fan. They are purporting a lot of pro-consumer moves, which I can respect the hell out of. That at least communicates some sort of respect for their audience, which is awesome.
Absolutely, and they're in the position to do it too because of all their other businesses.
Oh yeah, all their other markets.
They don't need to necessarily be profitable in this industry.
Exactly. And I think they're realizing that they don't have as much prominence in this generation as they did with the 360. Because you remember, everyone had a 360.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was a reason for that because of the
I had a 360 and I no longer have that. That was the last console I bought, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I bought a gaming PC right after.
Yeah. And so they're very adamant about, customers should be able to buy their games where they want. They made that in a statement. Awesome, Microsoft. You're doing good. I'd like you 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Love it. Loving it. And I mean, the last piece of news is I'm sorry, Matt, but it's another Randy Pitchford thing. I promise. It's short. He shared a video on Twitter, and I don't remember what the caption is he put for it. But it was a video of a cat with a crab. Now, they were put in the same position for weirdly no reason, and the cat is like kind of bopping at the crab. You know, that little thing that cats do where it's not a full strike, but it's just kind of tapping whatever it is they're curious about, and then immediately gets like its tail and leg crunched by the crab. And Randy Pitchford shared this on Twitter, and it's not fun to watch. I watched it and I felt sick. It was gross to watch, and there were people recording it, so it was specifically to like see what they could fuck around with, essentially.
Yeah.
And he reposted it with the caption "submitted for your consideration."
What?
Now I don't know why, and he put a
It doesn't even make sense.
Well, yeah, he put a comment afterward that said, "I tend to favor curiosity and disfavor setting up a feeling an empathetic creature for discomfort. Yet among the negative reactions I felt watching this, there's also some other stuff that isn't exactly negative. This makes me curious about how other people react." So now here's the thing. So we saw before, we were like, haha, for science. Like this girl's coming for science, right? He's doing the same shit.
Yeah. For
now,
curiosity.
Here's the thing.
What?
What the fuck am I gonna learn from a crab crunching on a cat's fucking foot? Excuse my language, but what is that? What does that tell me? What that? That crab's pretty strong. Awesome. Thanks, Randy
There's
Pitchford.
no constructive conversation to have about that.
No, I don't. I really don't think there is. I can't see one. I cannot visibly see one. Fire this guy. He's like, and this isn't even just like, I don't like what he's doing. He's fucking up your company's public image.
Where's the crab that crunches off Randy Pitchford's tail for his great curiosity with fucking with
it'll
people's
happen
heads?
at some point, I promise. Maybe the crab is just Chris Hansen in a crab suit. Or something, and he just his dick right off. That'll be Randy Pitchford's end. Except that's kind of mean because I don't wish for him to die in any way, shape, or form. So I'd like to make that abundantly clear because that's not what I'm talking about. He's just weird. He's a weird dude. Anyway, that's all I had for news. Did you have anything else to talk about, Matt?
Well, okay. So I have one last thing, and all right. Well, I think it will be in this podcast's best interest, starting now, to request for sponsors, and I think that the best place to start is Niantic, the people who run Pokemon Go.
Okay.
This is a unanimous decision by the group starting now. This is non-negotiable. So I'm going to give it a shot. Here goes.
Is that unanimous works?
Yeah. So I'm just going to give it a shot. We'll see how this practice run goes.
I am completely unaware of what is occurring right now. Continue.
We want to know where you sleep. We also want to know when you sleep. So go on to Pokemon Go right now. Pick up your Pokemon Go Plus if you haven't purchased it already. And don't forget, pre-order your Pokemon Go Plus Plus as soon as humanly possible so that we know exactly when and where you sleep.
Unfortunately, this is not a joke. This is
Pokemon Sleep. Let's make sleeping fun, everyone.
Live your ultimate Pokemon fantasy while unconscious. Hell yeah.
Gotta catch them all. How else are you gonna do it?
I know, in your sleep. Matt,
in their sleep.
Can you shed some
Wait, what?
light on exactly? Can you shed some light on exactly what that is?
No, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Well, what about the plus plus? Is that a thing?
It's okay. So I'm not okay. As far as I'm aware, you know what? Let me just confirm this so I don't look like an idiot. But as far as I'm aware, there's Pokemon Go, and then there's some kind of little little edition that you can purchase. It's like a physical gizmo, whatever
Pokemon
it is.
Go Plus.
There's Pokemon Go Plus, and they're also releasing Pokemon Go Plus Plus. Now it's specifically written as Pokemon Go Plus, and then the plus sign after it. And apparently, the Pokemon Go Plus Plus has the ability to track when you sleep, and I'm also assuming where you sleep, given the geographical location-based gameplay of Pokemon Go. And they announced it very recently. This Pokemon Sleep thing. Where I'm not entirely sure the full nature of it yet, because all I understand is that they're trying to incorporate your sleeping patterns into Pokemon Go. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that they're trying to essentially fish for your information on when and where you're sleeping, regardless of what their intent is what is very unnerving for me.
I can feel that. I mean, technically they have our location anyway if you play it. It's just also like...
You know what I'm really looking forward to?
What?
Pokemon Turd. They can track where and when. That's where I really see innovation coming from.
We track the weight, the size, the regularity, the consistency...
And then let me catch it afterwards.
And the amount of toilet paper you go through.
Pokemon Go now calculates your ecological impact.
Yes.
To top it off,
carbon footprint.
To top it off, we want to know if you're one of those people that pisses before you shit or shits before you piss.
And we'll know if you stand or sit when you pee.
Or if you just squat, like hover in the air, because you don't want to sit on the toilet seat because it's a public toilet.
Oh no, guys. Niantic needs your help. All we need are those wacky numbers on the front of your mom's credit card and the 3 crazy digits on the back, as well as your mom and dad's social security number. Oh my god. Okay,
and mail us in a cotton swab of your mouth. We're cloning you too.
We need those crazy chromosomes that make up your body.
Give us your sperm samples while you're at it too. That might help.
Yeah.
Which Pokemon do you find the most sexually attractive? We can judge by your sperm.
New Pokemon Whorehouse.
Holy shit.
I think I think we found the name for this episode. All new Pokemon Whorehouse.
I think it'd be successful.
Or should it be Whorehouse or Brothel?
I think Brothel would be more accepted.
All right. Pokemon Brothel.
Okay.
If it sounds more classic.
So here's the thing. The weird ass shit that Niantic would try and pull in that situation sounds like a real Randy Pitchford move.
No, right? guys, come on. Let's hold down. We're not Randy Pitchford. We got to make it kid friendly. Let's rename Pokemon Sleep and Pokemon Brothel. Just combine them together, both concepts, and make it Pokemon Sleepover.
I thought you were gonna say sleeping brothel, and then I had in the back of my head like that's sexual assault.
Yeah. That's funny.
So
wait, do Pokemon have rights?
That is a loaded fucking question, my dude.
I think they have to evolve first. It's like a second generation.
Yeah, they can't be a second gen Pokemon because a second gen Pokemon is equal to a second classes.
Oh my god.
Hippity hoppity, Pokemon are property.
Oh my god.
They really are. Pokemon are just a bunch of little slaves at the end of the day. Like, you just keep them in balls and make them work for free. And then if they die, just like, oh well, just get another one. Like, what? Like, you really break it down.
What have we done?
I think I just destroyed my childhood.
All right. I've got the perfect title. Randy Pitchford presents Pokemon Whorehouse. There we go. Or Pokemon Brothel. There we go. Done. Sound good? Oh my god. Okay. So my stomach hurts. And my face hurts from laughing.
Yeah, I kind of have to shit and track it.
And just take a picture, send it into Niantic. Just be like, you'll need this eventually. I'm just getting a head start.
We'll apply to be like beta testers.
I'll just send them my size as well. Just be like 9 inches. There you go.
That's generous.
That's extremely generous. Oh my god. My girlfriend's mother listens to this podcast. Why am I doing this? Okay. Alright. Okay. Is there anything else you need to talk about, Matthew?
Nope.
Alright.
I think this is a great note to wrap things up on.
Obviously,
this has been wonderful.
My penis size.
Yeah. Slowly gonna roll further away from you now. I might sound a little more distant.
Damn it, if you actually just did that without saying anything, it would be great. Okay.
Wait, I just realized something.
Oh god.
Don't people who are actually capable of sleeping normally have an unfair advantage against those who have insomnia during the release of Pokemon Sleep?
Yeah, actually. Fuck, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Depending on how it works, I think, I have to see what it would actually do. Oh, apparently it's supposed to help you sleep.
Oh no. I'm sorry, that sounds bad.
I can just imagine hearing this from my phone. Just Pika.
No, that
Pika.
those are the sound effects in Pokemon Brothel, not Pokemon Sleep.
You know what? They're interchangeable.
Oh,
they're almost the same thing. Okay. This joke has gone on way too long. We need to kill it like the Call of Duty series needs to be killed. Okay? So
I'm coming full roundhouse now.
Coming full circle here. All right. So thank you guys so much.
We should.
What's up?
I'm sorry. Just one last thing. We should have a competition where we should find the creepiest in-game Pokemon sound to hear when you're trying to go to sleep. Like the most uncomfortable one. So that if it actually plays sounds while it's trying to quote unquote help you sleep, it just does the exact opposite.
Okay, how about this? We'll make this a challenge for next episode. I'll pick 3 of my favorite. You pick 3 of your favorite, and then we'll play them at the end of the next episode.
Perfect.
All right, deal. Content, baby. Quality content. Ranking creepy Pokemon noises. Hell yeah.
This is the epitome of podcast.
This is true quality content.
Hashtag Bethesda.
It just works.
Hashtag Fallout Sleep.
We're just getting 4 times the detail.
4 times the sleep.
16 times the size of Fallout 4. Fucking okay. Okay, we need to stop. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. We had a lot of fun recording this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been wonderful being here.
Max, you get an A+. I think Matt would venture to say the same. Right, Matt?
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Oh.
I was also hesitant.
Yeah,
he stopped for a second. Yeah,
sure. Sure, get the fuck out of here.
Hopefully Max will be making more appearances. This has been fun as hell.
Yeah, I would love to come back.
You're more than welcome, and we can always do it long distance too. So
yeah, totally.
You can find us on Suboptimal Podcast on Instagram as our handle. You can email us questions at suboptimalpodcast@gmail.com. Obviously, we're here on YouTube, not SoundCloud anymore, so we're here. And once again, thank you guys for listening. We've been very mediocre, and we'll see you guys next time. All right.
Adios.
Goodbye. I will see you in your sleep.